Namaste, angels. This is the weekly general reading for the period of tomorrow, Sunday, May 31st, through Saturday to come, June 6th, which means we're like officially halfway through the year. June is the 6th month. Can you believe it? It's certainly been eventful. All right. So, as always, first and foremost, thank you to everybody that's here for joining, that supports me in general in any way, watching the videos, sharing the videos, liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, all that kind of stuff. Thanks again to those of you who attended the phone call. We had a blast. And congratulations again to Lily Alice, who won the lottery, the reading. So I'll have that to you soon. All right, let's get into it right away, beginning with, what are we going to begin with? The dice. Actually, let me get the calendar out of the way, like we usually do before I do the dice, beginning with the Christian calendar. And Monday, the Feast of Mary, Mother of the Church. And then toward the middle of the week, or in the middle of the week, on Thursday the 4th, we have Jesus Christ, the Eternal Priest. I just want to make note that 6-4 equals 10, but so does 19. Like I always try to point out how these numbers repeat and represent particular things. So we have that. And there's nothing actually on the Islamic calendar or Hebrew calendar or Jewish calendar this week that we're going to discuss. So after this, we'll go straight to the planetary calendar. So what popped up first for Mary, Mother of the Church, was AmericanMagazine.org. So that's from where I'm going to be reading. This is an article that was written by a man named Gerard O'Connell, GerardOconnell, on March 3rd in 2018, because in 2018 was actually the first year that this feast day was officially celebrated by the Roman Catholic Church. It's when Pope Francis had it ordered onto the calendar. So I thought it'd be, since this popped up first, I thought it would be interesting to read from here. Pope Francis has decreed that the memorial of the Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of the Church, should be inscribed in the Roman calendar on the Monday after Pentecost and be celebrated every year in churches throughout the world. The Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments announced this in a decree published by the Vatican today, March 3rd, and signed by the congregation's prefect, Cardinal Robert Sarah, and its secretary, Archbishop Arthur Roche. The Pope, who has emphasized many times the importance of Mary in the Church, approved this last Thursday when he received the Cardinal in a private audience. A memorial is a lower-ranked feast day. Celebrations of feast days in the Roman Rite of the Catholic Church are distinguished according to their importance and named either as solemnities, feasts, or memorials. I tend to call them all feasts. The decree, signed by the two Vatican prelates, said, quote, "The joyous veneration," end quote, "given to the Mother of God by the contemporary church," quote, "in the light of reflection on the mystery of Christ and on his nature," end quote, "cannot ignore," quote, "the Virgin Mary, who is both the Mother of Christ and the Mother of the Church," end quote. It traced the history of this veneration down to the centuries from the period of the early church as it reflected in the writing of St. Augustine from the year 354 to the year 430, and also St. Leo the Great, who was Pope from the year 440 or 44 through the year 461 or 11. It recalled that St. Augustine said, quote, "Mary is the mother of the members of Christ because with charity she cooperated in the rebirth of the faithful into the church," end quote. While St. Leo said, quote, "The birth of the head is also the birth of the body," thus indicating that Mary is at once Mother of Christ, the Son of God, and the mother of the members of his mystical body, which is the church, end quote. The Vatican prelates in the decree recalled that, quote, "As a caring guide to the emerging church, Mary had already begun her mission in the upper room, praying with the apostles while awaiting the coming of the Holy Spirit," end quote. Then, in the course of the centuries, quote, "Christian piety has honored Mary with various titles," end quote. that are in many ways equivalent. And that was another quote. Such as, quote, Mother of the Disciples, of the Faithful, of Believers, but also under the title Mother of the Church, end quote, as is found in the texts of spiritual authors and of the Popes Benedict the 10th, 14th, and Leo the 13th. Of course, 13 also always connected to her. All of this laid the foundation that enabled Blessed Paul VI, at the conclusion of the third session of the Vatican Council, November 21st, 1964, to declare that the Blessed Virgin Mary as the Mother of the Church, that is to say that all Christian people, the faithful as well as the pastors who call her the most loving mother, Paul VI decreed at that time that the Mother of God should be further honored and invoked by the entire Christian people by this tenderest of titles, end quote. The authors of the decree recall various initiatives by the Holy See and the local churches in the following decades that resulted in the establishment of a votive mass in the honor of the Blessed Mary, Mother of the Church. First one was in 1975, apparently. And that was subsequently inserted into the Roman Missal, as well as the publication of invocations and formularies. The congregation decree laid down that, quote, the memorial, therefore, is to appear in all calendars and liturgical books for the celebration of Mass and of the liturgy of the hours, end quote, and provide the relative liturgical texts for this purpose. The Feast of Christ as the High Priest is a fairly new feast day as well. Like some of the stuff that we talk about is so old, it's from like centuries ago. And this one, I believe, began in the 80s. But to find out for sure, we're going to read a little bit about it from wikipedia.org. Feast of Christ the Priest. So they're calling him Christ the Priest here. The full name, as I know the feast, is Jesus Christ the Eternal High Priest. It appears to be one and the same. The Feast of the High Priest is a Roman Catholic movable liturgical feast celebrated annually on the first Thursday after Pentecost. Approval for this feast was first granted by the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments in the year 1987. See, that's fairly new. Of course, 1987 equals 88 or 88. It is observed by the Fraternity of Christ, the Priest in Australia, and all the Roman Catholic dioceses of Spain. Since 2013, it has been observed in Poland. The decree was written or passed on April 3rd of 2013 for that area, in the Netherlands the following year, and since 2015 in the Czech Republic. Since 2018, the feast is observed in England and Wales as well. And I guess if we want to know exactly what it's about, we'd have to read some of these further. That's all they have in like the intro. So we have to go on to the significance and stuff. I'll touch on that. The feast focuses firstly on Jesus's priestly office, and because he's considered the model for believers and for the clergy in particular, with priests acting in persona Christi, or in the person of Christ. The laity are thus urged to pray that priests would be more like Christ. Sadly, that's largely failed. Anyway, the compassionate and trustworthy high priest. And this is also discussed in Hebrews 2:17. Ever living to intercede for humanity before the Father. Hebrews 7:25 or 7:7. The Second Vatican Council taught that many things about the priesthood of Christ and sharing in that one priesthood through the sacraments of baptism and holy orders. This development has been reflected in many subsequent documents. One effective way to build upon this teaching is to establish the Feast of Christ the Priest more widely. What Pope Pius XI wrote about is the feast in honor of Christ's kingly office can be said just as truly about this feast in honor of our Lord's priesthood. I guess this is the quote, for people are instructed in the truths of faith and brought to appreciate the inner joys of religion far more effectually by the annual celebration of our sacred mysteries than by any official pronouncement of the teaching of the Church. Such pronouncements usually reach only a few, and the more learned among the faithful. Feasts reach them all. The former speak but once, the latter speak every year, in fact, forever. End quote. So that's the Feast of Jesus the High Priest. So from there, we'll just move straight into the planetary calendar, beginning with June 1st, Monday at 4:05 a.m. Jupiter will be quintile Chiron. Jupiter, which is retrograde in Capricorn, will be quintile Chiron, which has been in Aries for probably like a year. It feels like a long time. It's my natal placement, so I should know, but I should have followed it a little bit better. But I think it's like a year so far. On June 2nd at 9:04 p.m., Pallas, the asteroid, which is also retrograde and currently located in Aquarius, enters Capricorn. I think it should be re-enters Capricorn. I believe it started in Capricorn, moved into Aquarius, and is going back to Capricorn now, if I'm not mistaken. On June 3rd at 2:52 p.m., another of these large asteroids, Vesta, enters Cancer. So Mercury's already in Cancer. Is something else there? Maybe that's it. Mercury's definitely there. So I guess the two of them will be there together. Vesta enters Cancer at 0 degrees. And then on June 5th at 3:12 p.m., the full moon and penumbral lunar eclipse occurs. So a full moon and a lunar eclipse that will be in Sagittarius. It's actually 15 degrees Sag. So a lot of 6 energy on June 5th, which I believe is Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So we've been talking about Pallas, the asteroid, over the past, I don't know, probably like 3 readings, like the last like 3 readings we've talked about her. And of course, Pallas, the asteroid, refers to Pallas Athena, the goddess of war, who is said to have emerged from her father Zeus's head. Is also said to be associated with the immune system. And this is something that has been said or proposed, suggested since the 80s, that that asteroid is sort of like a ruler of the immune system. So my thought is that since she's been retrograde and going backward, and like I said, I believe had moved forward for a time, like last week or the week before, into Aquarius, I believe it was the week before, and is now going backward again. I'm wondering if we're going to have to revisit something too, with regard to immune systems. And I'm wondering if globally that means that some areas of the world may have to like revisit the coronavirus, like have a re-emergence. I hope not. I don't wish it on anybody, but I was just wondering if there was a correlation, right, in terms of going back to where we were after having moved forward. Because then we all move forward for the most part. There's some places that like don't have any more, haven't had any cases in a while. Some countries, which is awesome. And was it New Zealand that had completely eradicated the problem? Like they just, it was completely out of there. And I just, like I said, I'm not wishing it on anybody. I don't wish it on anybody, on any person, any individual, and certainly not any land, any country or continent even. But I'm just wondering if, again, the fact that it was in Capricorn and sort of grounded, well, maybe that's what it means. I didn't think about the grounded part before, but Capricorn is grounded. It moved into Aquarius, which is in the air, so maybe that was more airborne, and now it's going back to Capricorn to be grounded again. That's a more positive spin on it and thought, which just came to me right here in front of you guys. So maybe that will be the more prevalent thought. But my initial thought had been, what I proposed to you the first time, that perhaps, having started in Capricorn and then moved forward to Aquarius was when things were getting better, and now it's moving backward again into Capricorn. But we shall see. I probably should have prefaced that with the things I say tend to come true, but and again, I'm not wishing it on anybody. So maybe I should have been more careful. Just sharing thoughts, certainly not trying to manifest that if that's not meant for the world. As far as Vesta where I say Vesta was going? Oh, Cancer, right? So Vesta in Cancer represents an energy of like the universal mother, that very, like intuitive and instinctual, and, things are innate, like how to take care of, handle an issue, nurture a problem or person, and sort of save the day in a way that only mothers do, right? There's other people, like, a child can certainly save the day, but in their way, and a dad can certainly save the day, but in his way. There's only one, a mother does it in her way. And this would definitely be, the energy of Vesta in Cancer would definitely be mother's way. Cancer is very, very mother, and, emotional and nurturing and intuitive on its own. But that placement is said to be very much so representative of the universal mother. So I think maybe people will have, if it has anything to do with the other transit that I was just talking about in the immune system in Plant Palace, maybe it'll be nurturing or nursing ourselves or our loved ones back to health, nurturing the world back to health. If it's the universal mother, maybe the universe will be, nursing us all, like, the planet back to Earth. That's another positive thought on it. All right, so on that note, now we'll move to the dice. And this week we're beginning with yes, party, and dirty movie. Dirty movie, for those not familiar with it, for me tends to be connected to like pictures, sending pictures to each other, or videos, or this week it could have been about stuff getting caught on video. This is the general reading, not the love reading, so it doesn't have to be to friends or partners or interests sending each other risque pictures or videos. It could be sharing around the world, around the country, videos that we'd all rather not see, that we'd all rather had never happened to have been taped in the first place, but have. So in that respect, it could be connected to George Floyd, and hopefully, there'll be no further incidents of that nature, but there could be some further movement there with that, in terms of dirty movie. And dirty movie came out again. There it is. Also, try again. So I will. But this also means, like, if you tried something, you feel like you weren't successful, or maybe you're trying to reach somebody, you didn't, you might want to try again, reach out again. It can be about it's just basically like, if you don't succeed, try again. Also, buy shoes. And I too will try again. And the dice says, forget it. Forget it can be, don't try anymore, like you've done your best. You've done all you could. Forget it can be, let's let bygones be bygones, and we're both going to let something from the past go, and we're going to try again, maybe to move forward. To apply to different people in different ways, in different scenarios, in different ways. With the cards, we got You Can Do It, Archangel Michael. Oshun is under here with Drink More Water, but she was upside down. So, for some of us, there could be some ascension coming, but I would say it's not like it's not the entire collective. Because like I said, she was here upside down. But right here, behind her, also upright, while I'm at it, is open your heart to love, says Jesus. And take charge of this situation, says Moses. There may be something where you need to, be willing to jump into a leadership role, or an authoritative sort of role. I got this. I can handle it. And Lord Ganesha says yes. So he may be giving you the strength, the ability, the help that you need to handle something. But normally when I pull this card, it's because he's saying, yes, I'm knocking down those obstacles that were in your way this week. I'm going to be knocking them down so that you can reap the abundance that flows, when that dam is opened. You know what I mean? So that is that. I'll put these back how they were. Like I said, this was upside down. Keepers of the Light Oracle. Soul expansion, says Babaji. Your consciousness is expanding. So like I said, some of us could be experiencing some ascension this week. You understand the connections between all things. Somebody gets some clarity, becomes more enlightened, awakened, maybe even. There could be some newly awakened people this week. Maybe you'll discover my channel and say, you talk about the stuff I've been thinking about or experiencing. Right behind him, it's upside down, but it is Kuan Yin, speaking of mother energy. Care and compassion. Choose to be love. Do what's right for everyone involved and offer a helping hand. So if there's a situation in which you can be of assistance and maybe nurture a situation and bring it back to health, nurse a situation, you are guided to do that. Again, that mother energy, Vesta in Cancer. Speaking of Cancer and retrogrades, maybe that's why the Chariot is here backwards. Chariot in reverse is one of these cards that can be about similar things when it's upright. It's about movement and stuff, whether it's upside down or right side up. But when it's in reverse, it can be asking you to figure out where you're moving, and why you're moving, because it's important not to make a move just for the sake of making a move, or to do something just for the sake of doing something, to jump into a relationship just for the sake of having a man or having a woman, and you're not, where you want to be, to accept a job just for the sake of having a job when you could, manage a little longer and try to get the job you want, that sort of thing. So you're guided to take a hard look at, where am I headed and why? Is that where I want to go? And don't allow yourself to make moves just for the sake of making moves. That's what it's warning you against. It's saying that purpose, conscious direction is very important this week. Of course, in other areas of your life, it may mean other things. In work, it can be you're trying to force your ideas and stuff on people. So try to, take it easy and not be pushy. Everybody's not on the same speed or, at the same speed as you. So maybe you get ahead of yourself and you're ahead of them. So, don't push. In terms of love, also don't push. And you may be feeling like you're falling fast and hard, because you found somebody that really, matches you and makes sense and it works. But when this is saying it's possible to push them away. And so I'm going to go ahead and mention, because this card can often have to do with our romantic relationships and or our jobs. It's very common to be connected to work. The five. Oh, I thought it was the Five of Wands. All right, the Seven of Wands is a little bit more. I don't want to say positive. But it's not what when I looked at it at first, I thought it was the Five of Wands. So maybe I should just go ahead and finish what that sentence was going to be with the Five of Wands. So at work, it can be about competition, and it's just you just reminded that yes, you have some great ideas, but again, don't force them down anybody's throat. You can win the competition without doing that. Basically, with being a little bit more professional and stuff like that, and honest and upright. Let your talents and your work stand for itself. In terms of relationships with the Five of Wands, it can be about conflict. It can be about you being conflicted. When it is about conflict, for me, it tends to be close friends and or family. And that family can be like our exes and stuff too. People to whom we were married or with whom we have children, and like the ex-girlfriend, the ex-boyfriend, all of those people, I consider them like, in that close friends and or family category. So it can be them too. That's for whoever needed to hear that, because the card is actually the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands is about us defending ourselves, our decisions. So maybe the moves that we're making. After we think about long and hard what moves we're making, we might decide we're making the right ones. All right, somebody else may think we're not making the right ones, but we're going to stand by what we've chosen for our lives, period. And it's about only changing your mind if you decide to change your mind, not because somebody else is in your ear telling you what they think you should do with your life. So that's what's up with that. Also up right behind it is the Nine of Pentacles. So it's a successful week. Again, maybe Lord Ganesha comes barreling through, knocks out obstacles out of our way. And, we're in a good space this week. Whether there's money coming in, which there very well could be, or, you're getting some sort of promotion, and somebody's giving you some sort of recognition. Maybe you're winning the competition at work for those for whom I thought it was the Five of Wands rather than the Seven. And, this is you enjoying that, right? If you didn't win a competition at work, this is still you being at peace and enjoying being in your own skin and living your life and getting to know yourself and like yourself and love yourself a little bit better. Just being content, right? Other people may be looking very much up to you, maybe extremely attracted to you, and just saying like, oh, that person's got it together. You know what I mean? So that leaves us with this one. Very interesting. It is Major Arcana card 4, which represents the planet Mars, which rules the signs of Aries and Scorpio. And what I was saying was very interesting was the fact that right behind it is although upside down, is Major Arcana card Death, which also represents the sign of Scorpio. So not really sure from where the Scorpio energy is coming. Maybe just some sort of endings, maybe attached to forget it, letting something from the past go, right? That's what death is all about. The end of a phase or situation, spiritual transformation. It's time to move on. So it's connected to the energy of movement and making moves also. So maybe that's why that's there. Other than that, the Emperor and Mars, again, ruler of the sign of Aries, in addition to Scorpio, Aries is where I mentioned Chiron is. So we talked about that transit between Jupiter, which is retrograde in Capricorn, and Chiron, which is located in Aries this week. So that could be why the Emperor is showing up. More importantly, maybe the Emperor, what he's about is, for some of you, a helpful energy. It could be in the form of an actual person, and maybe even more specifically, an actual male and maybe older father figure type who is he wants to help. He wants to help, and he's capable of helping. So whether it's in your work or in your relationships or just some lesson that you need to learn, this week for your journey in your life, he is, again, capable of helping you with it, and he wants to help you. So it could be somebody from your job, a colleague, or maybe a supervisor, or something. Somebody who's been there longer than you, or something like that. It can also be somebody that's interested in you romantically, and if they are and they're older than you, don't rule them out just because of that, just because it seems like, oh, this is like my dad or whatever. You may be like pleasantly surprised, like really pleasantly surprised if you open your mind to giving them some sort of chance. You may be worried that this person is sort of stern, like that type of rule with an iron fist kind of person, and that could be what's scaring you off too. But he's definitely trying to help you this week, at least. He's definitely trying to help you. I also mentioned in the beginning that some of you may be called to some sort of leadership role. Maybe that's what You Can Do It is all about. And that may be what the Emperor is representing here for you also. So in that case, like, you could be the one who's teaching something, right? From whom people have something to learn. You could show them the way, help to enlighten people with this, and help them with their soul expansion. Remember, Babaji told us about soul expansion and becoming enlightened. So that you could be the person who is the instigator of all of that. And there can also be somebody who's showing you like the way things are supposed to be done. So in terms of structure, or applying a logical plan to something, that may be the Emperor too. If he is, again, an actual person in your life, further to all the stuff I've already said, he may be an actual, again, man, married man with children, or the marrying kind, I like to say, that, stable or secure, or that, very attractive energy, because they just seem to know what they're doing and can lead and provide and all of that. May specifically be an Aries, even if it's not an older person. There may be an Aries or a Scorpio, or both, like, maybe both of those energies involved. That is particularly significant this week as well. All right, so let's get into a little bit of the energies that are going to be affecting each, not sign, well, in a sense, sign, each element, right? Let's do that. So I'll take these away temporarily. And we're going to work with these a little more. Okay, so everybody has an overall energy of the Chariot in reverse. And so we keep that in mind. And then further to that, the card representing the fire signs this week. So Aries, again, Leo, and Sagittarius is your element, your energy, with Major Arcana card Strength in reverse. So for me, first and foremost, Strength in reverse is about having the ability to handle any kind of situation, but not like stepping up to the plate necessarily, or not having the confidence in yourself that you do have that ability. It can also be that you have a lot of things that you need to be thankful for and acknowledging the universe for, counting your blessings and everything, and you're just not. We all have some sort of, at least one thing that, else that we wish for, or that we sort of envy in other people, even though we're not supposed to do that, and like covet, or I wish I had that, or they're so lucky, or whatever. But with the Strength in reverse, it's really important, again, that we are counting our own blessings and appreciating what we currently have. And that is going to be proved to be key in helping us to acquire more. So this may be like acknowledging our own inner strength. And remember, there's power in words, and we speak words for affirmation and manifestation. Like, that may be what Lord Ganesha is waiting to hear from us, putting the strength into words, so that he can come barreling down and knocking the obstacles out of the way for us. You know what I mean? So we got free will. Our words are powerful. They help us to manifest. You speak things into existence, whether negative or positive. Let's use it for positive. Let's acknowledge how powerful we are and use it for good. That power. and to our own, our benefit and our advantage. In terms of, wait, I think I was going to move on to the earth signs, but I think because I talked about the 5 and 7 of wands, I just want to mention with regard to work real quick. You may have some sort of talents and stuff that you haven't made your job aware, or the people at your job that need to know what you're capable of, you haven't made them aware, and you're sort of like wondering why they haven't asked you to do certain things, or wishing that they would. I wish they would give me that promotion. Like, I can do that. I could do that with my hands tied together, a blindfold on. But nobody knows. Nobody knows. That's the problem. So you're going to have to put yourself out there and, start to be like clear with people and honest and upfront about what your talents are, what you have to offer, how you can benefit the corporation, or the company for which you work, or whatever it is. You add value to the organization, basically. All right, earth signs. So Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Your card is the 3 of Wands. Very nice. This is like when literally his ships are about to come in. You see him standing there at the beach, right? Or hillside. I think both. And you see the boats in the water. Those are his ships, and he's waiting for them to come in. He just needs one more wand, right? To have a 4 of Wands is when you're content and you're happy and you got your house and your household and your life together. So he just needs one more. It's just totally positive, whether you work inside or outside the home, and a lot of people work inside these days. Somebody's seeing all the work that you're doing and appreciating it. So even though you're working from home, maybe you feel like, oh, do they know that I put so many hours in because I'm home? And maybe they think I'm, screwing around or something. No, they know. Unlike the people at the fire signs job that don't know what they're capable, those that are watching you are happy with what you have been producing, and they want you to give yourself some credit too. But again, also it is about abundance having successfully been manifested, and you're almost to that last step. So the first thought, or the first part of manifestation, are those words that I was talking about, right? That's the first wand. And then when we get another wand, it's having faith that what we've prayed for and focused on, make that focused intention is actually going to come to pass. And then with the third wand, we can actually begin to see in a more physical way, a tangible way, things actually come into form. So it's like, oh, I can see the ships out there. They're not here yet. They're not docking yet. So I don't have it completely yet, but I can see it. I know that soon on the horizon, those things that I've worked toward, I'm going to have. So that's your message. Earth signs. Air signs. I'm like, who's next? Meanwhile, I'm an air sign myself. Okay, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So first and foremost, an actual earth sign, of course, and maybe an earth sign male, most specifically, and or masculine energy, could be particularly significant this week. However, there could be something that is preventing him from fully being what he's meant to be, like totally pulling up or coming through, or, it's in reverse. So something could be delayed that he's working on, as if the Knight of Pentacles wasn't already slow and steady wins the race. It can be even slower in happening, something, or maybe, was almost about to happen and somehow got turned upside down. So that's one possibility. It can also be like we're just feeling kind of bored and unexcited with stuff, with people, with life. And this is like a wake-up call, like, hey, there's only one person that can, change that. And I made a post this week. I don't remember what the hell I was talking about in the beginning, but I remember ending it with be the change you want to see. Oh, I was talking to Black women and or Latina women, because a lot of Latina women are also Black women, and how I just been seeing a lot of this, sort of male bash, and I get it because from our own men, so Black and or Latino men, what we give to them and the way we support them and love them and stand up for them when anybody tries to come against them and all that kind of stuff, it's not always reciprocated. In fact, in social media today, it's pretty disgusting. I'm glad my kids are grown, because if they were young and watching some of this stuff that's on TikTok or whatever, and I didn't realize it, I came to find out, I'd be very upset. There's a lot of down talking about Black women, while they hold other women up. It's like, go ahead, hold other women up if you want to. You love white women, you love Asian women, whatever it is, yay! But in the same video or talk or whatever you call them, they have to first say how much they hate Black women. So I had put this post up about, we're mothers. Those of us who are mothers, particularly of sons. We can't afford not to love our men, not to show them love. From the time that they get here to the time that they're not anymore. Or those that we make them with, those that we give birth to. We just can't afford not to. And, despite what they do and what society does and whatever, and how we're treated in the world, because I do feel that Black women are, the worst treated demographic in the world. But despite that we still got to be the change we want to see. We got to break the cycle. So we can't get mad and become man haters and whatever, and not change our sons, not show them something different, teach them something different, so that they can be a different type of men, when they get older. And I'm going too far off, but I think you guys get the idea. I mean, that's just one example of what this can be representing in somebody's life. But I know I have people from all walks of life, every continent except Antarctica, countries all over the world, all types of people, different, orientations and genders and races and all of that. So it'll apply to all of us as it will. You know what I mean? What else do I want to say about the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, though? Basically, in any area of our life, it could be like we are bored with our life. So in that case, in terms of work, it's important, of course, to not look bored at work if you work for somebody else, and especially, or if you're trying to, impress and or engage clients. It's important to not look bored, and that you do your best work, and that you do your best to remain focused. Air signs, it can be very easy for us to get distracted, this week. Be careful of that. In terms of love, you can be bored with your relationship too. And, before you just throw it in the garbage, think about your movements. Why do I feel this way? Why do I want to move maybe away from the relationship, drop it? Why do I want to move toward a particular relationship? And, again, that may be, once you think about it, that may be the way to go. Or it may not. So before you just get rid of something because you're bored, or, make a rash move because you're bored, think about it. And lastly, water signs. Well, it looks like you're moving in the right direction if no one else is. And you guys may actually be moving or taking a trip or traveling, because now this is double that energy, right? We already had the Chariot, and now you got the Six of Swords, which we see people in a boat, and they are in fact moving or traveling. And this card can be about travel, movement, moving, whether it is literal or metaphoric, but also just about things getting lighter, right? The stress level calming down, and difficulties that you were having, them being eased. Again, this is Ganesha coming through to knock down those barriers and obstacles that have been in your way, so that now you can, safely navigate the waters, and everything's good. It's a good time to get how they said, get your head above water. And I just thought about that Good Time song again. This is the second time that that's happened to me recently. That song, keeping your head above water and making a way when you can. So it's like now you can make a way. And so take advantage of that. It goes on, that song goes on to talk about temporary layoffs, and a lot of us had that, right? Temporarily laid off or furloughed or something while your company is closed. So maybe it's reopening for some of you water signs, and you're able to go back to work and things like that. Just if you get some, wherever the opportunity comes for you to get your head above water, definitely take it and enjoy. For you, in terms of relationships, you guys may need a change of scenery, and maybe it's because you've been stuck in the house and then you need to change the scenery. You need to go outside, or you need to see each other, or spend some quality time, or even if it's virtual, if you still can't maybe connect, do something virtual. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do another spread. So before we do that, let's give these cards another mix-up. We've already talked about the Emperor. So let's get some fresh energy in here. And of air. It's interesting because the Chariot is also Major Arcana card 7. So the number is still 7. 7 means God. Pretty much in angel numbers, in numerology, supreme math, all of those still equals God. So that may have a particular meaning for somebody. And otherwise, the 7 of air or swords is about risks and lacking confidence maybe in oneself. I'd say that it represents the energy of joy stealing. So it can be literal, because like somebody literally stole something from you, took something from you, or you actually lost something. Or we can steal our own joy by lacking confidence, because if we have an opportunity but we're afraid to take it, and then we don't, we miss out. And in that sense, we steal our own joy. Like, I could have been this, I could have done that, I could have dated so-and-so. And we, when the opportunity came, we choked. So it could be that. For some of us, somebody could be returning to your life with the 7 of Swords coming up. Plans that need revision. More going on than meets the eye. And poor timing. Prime the masculine this week, speaking of opportunities, is a card that's all about opportunity and the possibility to miss out. So definitely masculine, if an opportunity comes up for you and you just, been feeling afraid to take it, work on your confidence and your esteem to try to get out and get into that, take advantage of the opportunity before it passes you by. Your responsibilities may distract you from noticing all the gifts that God is presenting to you. Be open to investigating opportunities that come your way. And I just said 7 equals God. This is talking about opportunities that God is giving to you. So that may mean something specific for somebody too. Surrounding the masculine is Major Arcana card 0, the Dreamer. So it is a fresh opportunity, a brand new path even. You're starting a new adventure. Run free and take a leap of faith. This is about taking that risk, taking that leap of faith. In many cases, the 7 of Swords, that's what it's all about, right? Taking that chance and not robbing yourself of opportunity. Masculine subconscious, the Prince of Winter, Knight of Swords. He is decisive, focused, driven, and impulsive. Also a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, and one can be particularly significant to the masculine this week. Get ready for progress to speed up. So maybe things were like sort of dull and boring, but all of a sudden, you got to make this decision, or you're awaiting a decision, and once you get it, then you know how to move, and you got to take off right away. That's what the Knight of Swords is all about. The situation requires you to choose logic and intellect over emotion and to make your decisions quickly. Like, you don't have much time. Crowning the feminine, it is Major Arcana card 17, the Star, which represents the sign of Aquarius, speaking of the air energy, and it will be mirroring the Knight of Swords, and in fact can be who the Knight of Swords is, right? As an Aquarius, or, you know, one of the other air signs even could be representative of this. You are about to take a big leap forward in your life. Worry will be replaced with optimism, fear with hope, and joy is coming home to roost. So joy is not going to be stolen, right? Maybe we'll this, I said this was about joy stealing for me. This says joy is coming home, at least for the feminine. So maybe she won't allow her joy to be stolen. So of course, the star is not only about communication, it's also about manifestation, successful manifestation. It's our dreams coming true, our prayers being answered, our wishes being granted. Surrounding the feminine, in addition to that, it's the King of Winter, who is also perhaps an Aquarius, Gemini or Libra, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. The King of Swords for me is also like a judge type or a lawyer type, a professional, a doctor, right? Somebody who can really get us together, not in a negative way, like, set us straight and show us the right way to do something or something like that, or communicate something to us in a really effective way. At this time, it's very important that you communicate clearly, be objective, and as unemotional and act as professionally as possible. If you need advice, seek out the most experienced expert that you can find. King of Swords showing up also says, feminine, say what you mean what you say. This, I always, but this week in particular, like, you got to communicate effectively. And feminine subconscious, it is Major Arcana card 11, Strength, which represents the sign of Leo, perhaps the other fire signs, and of course just came up a moment ago in reverse for the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. True strength is displayed through kindness, forgiveness, and compassion. You have tremendous personal power and courage. So again, you have the ability to face whatever comes your way. Your dreams are attempting to manifest this week. The things that you've been focused on, wanting to actually come into your life, you may need to continue to speak power to those things, right? Continue to speak what it is you're seeking into existence. You have the ability to do it. And if something does try to get in your way, to block you, to stop you, you have the ability to face and fight and ward off any and everything that comes your way with strength showing up. Crowning. The Six of Autumn, Six of Pentacles. Your success and prosperity have allowed you to pay off debts, to acquire wise loans, or to receive a grant or scholarship. In return for heaven's blessings, be sure to share the wealth with others through donations of time or money to reputable charities. If and when you successfully manifest something this week, find a way to share, whether it's that same thing, like an eye for an eye, or in a more positive sense, or some other, valuable with someone else. Like, you have to pass the baton, or you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. You got free will. But you are guided with this Six of Pentacles crowning, especially sitting here next to the star. If you manifest, then you put the energy back out there in a positive sense to somebody else. So you give to your favorite charity, or you support in some way somebody who has supported you, and or nurtured your soul, right? Helped you to become enlightened, to grow, whether it's spiritually, emotionally, in general, as a person. They were your kindergarten teacher, and now you can, pay them back. Whatever it is, that's what this is saying when it shows up. In terms of relationships and everything, or even relationships with strangers on the street. For me, it's about unconditional love too. It's about love being able to pass both ways, the ability for each and every one of us to both give and receive. A lot of people have trouble with receiving, particularly women, and or feminine archetypes. So all of those things is what it means. At the root or foundation. Very nice. Major Arcana card 19, the Sun. Again, if you put your energy toward it, in a positive way, you're going to get a positive result and everything's going to work out. Major Arcana card 19, the Sun, represents fire signs Sagittarius most directly, but can also be connected to Leo and Aries. Your plans will work out well, bringing you happiness, prosperity, and success. You'll garner the recognition for your accomplishments that you so richly deserve. So I also said that somebody could get recognized by their, job or something, win the competition. So that may be literal for somebody too. Oh, look, 1119. And as far as the major arcana cards, it's like 11, 19, and 0. So it doesn't change the number. That's pretty cool. Heart of the matter. It is another death. Major arcana card 13, release or death. It's time to release the past and to move on to something new. And look what it's sitting right next to. 0. Right? So here's the ending and here's the new beginning. This could very much be tied to the full moon and the lunar eclipse. Right? Because the full moons and lunar eclipses, both together and separately, are about endings. This ending is the first step on the way to your happier future. Major Arcana card 13, release or death, represents the sign of Scorpio most directly, but perhaps tied to one of the other water signs, Cancer, Pisces. We're going to go around again and clarify these, beginning with the 4 of Cups and our the risk that the masculine is at of missing an opportunity. And again, if he goes after it, he's going to be successful. I already saw that, you guys know, earlier with the earlier spreads, and now I have more confirmation with the 6 of Spring. You may receive a promotion, be chosen for a scholarship, or find out that you're singled out for special recognition. You've done an amazing job and you deserve all the attention. You just have to go after it. Be the change you want to be. And it may have to do with money or a new job or something like that, or opportunity to go to school, especially crossing the 6 of Pentacles. But sitting here atop the Dreamer, brand new path you never walked before. So you're doing something different. Good news about financial matters. Wanting to do something more challenging and maybe even a new area of study. New area of study can be in life too, right? Life is like school. Especially when you have to go through the school of hard knocks. But some people say experience is the best teacher. So it doesn't mean that you're actually sitting in a school building learning, a book subject. This could be the school of your life. The Page of Earth is scholarly, dependable, patient, and successful. He's also a Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. Atop the Knight of Swords, or Prince of Winter, is another King of Swords. So we have one here and we got one here, clarifying the Knight. Very strong energy of communication and making sure that you say what you mean what you say, you think about your decisions, you make them quickly, but you think about them, you apply logic to what it is you're doing. You're not just, going by the seat of your pants. You're doing what makes the most sense, in a professional sense even. You may even get some official advice from somebody, an accountant, a doctor, again, a lawyer, something like that. The King of Air, or King of Swords, is brilliant, impartial, professional, and diplomatic. Speak your mind with confidence. Seek out professional advice and balance mental and emotional considerations. Also, there may be something going on, perhaps involving more than one air sign. And maybe one is a little bit older than the other. Atop Major Arcana card 17, the Star, for the feminine, is the 4 of Fire, 4 of Wands. So some of you may have been trying to manifest just happiness and contentment in general. Like, I need peace, and that's what I'm going to pray on. Some of us may have been praying on a new house or commitment, cohabitation maybe with somebody else, a roommate situation, a remodel, or to have an opportunity to do some cleaning and working in our homes. All those things are possible with this. It is a new apartment, maybe something that you get to apply for. Contentment, peace, and abundance, a happy home life, and the successful completion of a project. Atop our first King of Swords is another 6 of Wands. So now we got one here, we got one here. Told you, things are going to be successful if we use our free will to make those choices, to be positive and to, speak things into existence and use our power, use our strength. Victory. Good news is on its way. Public recognition or awards. And so it'll be communicated to you with all this air energy. Also, of course, an air sign could be directly tied to it and or particularly significant in the situation. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Maybe most specifically Aquarius with the star sitting here underneath the Four of Wands. And a feminine subconscious, a top major arcana card 11, strength, is the Eight of Fire. Also another card of communication and the universe working on our behalf, behind the scenes. Eights are all about karma, representative of karmic energy. To me, this card is very much like Jupiter, ruler of the sign of Sagittarius. I see all these arrows too, right? Arrows are about Sagittarius. I see like Cupid throwing his arrows. So it could be connected to love and stuff too. Events moving at a fast pace. Delays are over and many things are happening at once. Again, this could be having to do with family and commitment, even up to and even including marriage. Atop the Six of Autumn is the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Air. It's another major card of victory. Brilliant new ideas and inspirations. Seeing the truth of a situation with all these air sign court cards, the Knight and the two Kings, that could definitely be happening too. Some sort of truth and clarity, enlightenment is coming out. Seeing the truth of a situation, maybe a challenging beginning, because with the Ace of Swords, we're not just getting a fresh start, like we've had a tough time. And so the fresh start is like on the heels of this tough time. So it's kind of like one of those mama, I made it moments, you know what I mean? But it's a new beginning nonetheless, right? So we're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. A top major arcana card 19, the Sun, speaking of Jupiter, again, which represents the sign of Sagittarius and the planet Jupiter, which is its ruler, is the Knight of Water. I'm sorry, the Nine of Water, then the Nine of Cups, which is kind of like a baby star. This is about wishes being granted, dreams coming true, prayers being answered. Your wish comes true, concerns fade away of a love of life. So something happens to make things better. Somebody could be physically getting better. When the sun shows up for me, can be connected to health a lot of the time too. And maybe particularly things that involve like x-rays. So with corona, say for example, like pneumonia and things, people getting better from that kind of stuff. Cancer, radiation treatments and stuff like that. But yeah, very positive ending to the situation. Maybe somebody's mother involved. I said all that mother energy this week with what's going on in the celestial system. Lastly, at the heart of the matter, atop major arcana card 13, release or death, is major arcana card 5, unity or the Hierophant. And it's here crossing the Four of Wands. Could definitely be about marriage for somebody, engagement, marriage, deepening of commitment, a new commitment, cohabitation, just happiness. Traditional viewpoints or methods, spiritual organizations, seek out mentors and like-minded friends. So the other thing, sitting here next to the Page of Earth, particularly for the masculine, it can have to do with learning something new, again, enlightenment, coming into a new sense of spirituality and maybe needing to grow in that and to learn more about it. So that could be happening. You may be changing your friends. When the Hierophant shows up, I tend to say that it can be about making adjustments to the people, places, and things with which we surround ourselves, because the stuff we used to surround ourselves with no longer aligns with us. And maybe because that's, again, some of us are having a soul expansion this week. Some of us are experiencing some sort of ascension this week and growth. And so we're no longer who we were before. And so, we have our soul looks for a different resonance, a different vibration with which to connect. And we need to connect with people, places, and things of our vibration or higher, from which we can learn something. That maybe with that Emperor is coming in again too. Somebody from whom we can learn something. So for some of us, we could be having some shifts and maybe changing whether consciously or subconsciously, the people, places, and things with which we had otherwise been surrounding ourselves. And further to that, for the masculine, speaking of soul expansion, there could be some definitely romantic connections and things too, with soul flame showing up, but it doesn't have to be, twin flame or a soulmate type of thing. It can also be like just your, again, your personal soul expansion and sort of life being like ablaze, right? Your passions burning and you going after things that are for your life purpose. Rediscover a lost part of yourself. Experience relationship harmony and healing. So again, that doesn't have to be romantic. It could be relationship harmony with anyone. Speaking of the goddess of war, we have Diana here. And speaking of arrows and stuff too. Think about what you desire and set your sights high. Expect the best possible outcome. So this is again about thinking positively and maybe even speaking positivity over ourselves. Masculine for you from the Ascended Masters, clear and shield your energy, says El Moria. I had to talk some clients through like a spiritual bath this week for a masculine or for a male. And, he was manifesting in physical pain and stuff, what he was experiencing. Maybe I'm mentioning that because, maybe others, some of you will need to clear and shield your energy in that way. And if you need guidance on that, just hit me up, I don't mind. Feminine, freedom. So this is more Aquarian energy, perhaps, and there's a big full moon behind her. Again, we have a full moon this week on June 5th in the sign of Sagittarius, where all this Jupiter energy has been showing up in the reading. And some of us may be finding ourselves, maybe that's what we're going to be, in what we're going to be successful and victorious this week, is freeing ourselves from some sort of constraint or restriction, or being freed from something like that, maybe with the help of energies like that of Lord Ganesha. Further, for the masculine, Major Arcana card 8 talks about 8s being all about karma, karmic justice coming through. Major Arcana card 8, justice, represents the sign of Libra. So a lot of air energy this week too. Fair decisions will be made after all of the evidence is reviewed impartially. Have compassion for others and try to see all sides of a disagreement. So you may be playing the role of a king of swords, right? He's very diplomatic and very good at looking at all sides and listening to everybody and trying to be fair and saying, okay, I see your point. I get it. So some of you may be doing some of that. This can be connected to actual legal situations. Again, in which case I think that you will be successful. You got a 6 of Wands, you got a Page of Earth, a Page of Pentacles here. So it looks like in your favor. For the feminine, the 10 of Wands. You're working far too hard and all the stress will soon become too much. Reach out for help from others, right? Share. 6 of Pentacles, like that's crowning us, 50-50. Give and receive. You don't have to carry the full burden. Let somebody else carry some of it. Help you. Reach out for help from others and take some time to play and to enjoy life. So if you get an opportunity to be social, you're guided to take that too. And lastly, for the masculine, the 4 of Earth, the 4 of Pentacles is another one of these cards that describes the kind of energy that I talked about earlier in the reading, where we're working at a job just for the sake of working there and getting a paycheck, but we're not really getting anything out of it. It's not adding any real value to our lives, not fulfilling our soul purpose, none of that. We're just there. And so we got to think about, like, again, where we're moving and why. And that this applies to relationships too, like being in relationships just for the sake of being in them, or just for the sake of the kids, as people make different excuses, or they can call them reasons if they choose, as to why they remain in dead relationships. But the 4 of Pentacles shows up to guide you to think about it. And maybe you want to get out, maybe you want to continue to stay in, that is up to you. Being too frivolous or too cautious with money. Good business decisions and giving to those less fortunate. With justice showing up, you could definitely be divorcing yourself from something that, or someone, and it could be a literal legal divorce. as in the disillusion of a marriage, because it does not work for you anymore, and you're admitting that, you're acknowledging that. And lastly, for the feminine, Major Arcana card 21, the World, which is representative of a fire energy for me. Those of you who are familiar with the channel and or me, you see me pull this card before, you know that I always say it feels like fire, but I've never attributed it to any one sign or another. It just feels like fire. So I do connect it to like Jupiter and Mars, and that's certainly appropriate this week. But more importantly, this is about something maybe coming full circle, something coming to an end. It's never going to be the same again. We're never going to revisit it in this way, if at all. Again, we're being eased out of a situation, a circumstance, a living condition, a relationship, and move toward one that better suits us. So it could be tied to the Hierophant. It can be tied to Lord Ganesha. It can be tied to opportunities coming our way and us taking, grabbing them by the balls. A job well done, joy, contentment, and gratitude, and the path toward enlightenment. Hope you guys have enjoyed the reading. I will be back with the love reading. Again, thanks to everybody who showed up and who likes and shares and subscribes and passes it along. To the woman who wrote me, I thought I had answered you. If you're watching, I am going to answer you right now, because I went back. I said she was so, she sounded so urgent. And I answered her, and she didn't reply back. And I'm like, oops, like I never sent. So, and then I still never sent. Lord have mercy. So I'm going to send right now. And anybody else, like I said, wanting any type of guidance, whether it's because you want to, actually purchase something from me, or you just want to ask me a question. I don't charge people to ask me questions and stuff like that. I know people do. I am not one of those. So feel free. All right. Namaste, guys.